Well, greetings for neatings. These last 4 centuries has been the kind of period in which, let's say you are attending a talent contest because you feel you have some remarkable singing prowess, but when your moment arises, a frog enters your throat, meaning that the result is a rather painful expression on the face of every spectator. So you leave, depressed and unrewarded, only to find that the following year a new light-hearted competition is set up in which the participants attempt to emulate your cacophonic malady, and a prize is rewarded to the most humorous impersonation of yourself. You see what I mean? You see, 410 years and 1 day hence, I was sat in a cellar guarding the barrels of gunpowder that we hoped would blow that Scotch beggar James back to his native mountains. Of course, I realised that the discovery of an unguarded stockpile of gunpowder would have been far more beneficial to my health, and it may surprise you to know that I had this realization before my arrest, but even after the investigators who found me on the evening of the 4th of November had taken their leave without me, my mind was too slow to realize that escape might be a good idea. So I stupidly chose to hang around until the early hours of the 5th of November, for which the penalty was to hang around the following January. So yes, a dozen good friends and I came together for the noble cause of ridding this finest country on earth from its devilish Protestant dictator, hoping to install a true and proper Catholic dictator instead. But of all those 13 men, not one had received God's greatest gift: common sense. We thought people would cheer a ruler who favoured the religion of celebration. I mean, we Catholics are by far the best at having a good time. We've got Christmas, Easter, St. Michael's Day, St. Patrick's Day, St. Peter's, St. John's, St. Joseph's. Barely a day goes by without a mass celebration. And think about it, when else do you get to eat the actual body of Christ at a dinner party? But no, it turns out that people would rather work all year in return for just a handful of celebrations. And instead of praising the lives of great men, they would rather burn the effigy of a man made famous by his failure. And then they wonder why the young people of England today have so little aspiration. In truth, the only part of me that got burned was my genitalia. This led to the mid-17th century invention of the barbecue, but oddly, people are not so inclined to recall that memory when eating their smoked sausages. In fact, most people forget all the history, choosing instead to take pleasure in temporary flashes in the sky. Perhaps that's because it reminds you that everything in life is temporary, including your current parliament or dictator. I see there's very little difference these days. Or perhaps it helps you imagine for a moment what it would be like for a successful gunpowder plot against said dictator. In any event, I avoided much of the pain that was sentenced to be inflicted on me. My friends were hanged only to the point of excruciating pain, at which point they were cut down in order to see their bodies being turned inside out. But having missed one escape attempt already, I wasn't about to let another one get away. So I jumped more forcibly from the gallows, snapping my neck and saving me from further torture. But that was a rather selfish act, I must confess. By then, the details of our plot were widespread, and one Catholic criminal escaping the pain of his punishment may have made Parliament and their king even more determined to punish Catholics nationwide. People may have been forced to watch their friends and family burn, all in the name of religious intolerance. That could have seriously ruined English society. But then, it turned out that King James was actually a rather lenient chap. Yes, it is true that he put measures in place to restrict the actions of Catholics, but that was primarily intended to point out that murdering a non-Catholic was not a nice thing to do. As if to prove his point by example, James refused to allow any further Catholics to be punished. I think he truly believed the gunpowder plot was the desire of a few foolish men, and not necessarily the objective of all Catholics across the land. So you could say the 5th of November is in fact a celebration of religious tolerance, rather than a failed terrorist act, and I think think you can see this in the way so many men of different nations and creeds and religions all come and stand together to stare at a beautiful man-made sky. Yes, many have forgotten the origin of the celebration, and yes, every firework is a temporary delight. But even that demonstrates an important principle. Life should not be about holding grudges from the past, nor should it be about trying to impose your vision of the future upon others. Life should be about sharing the beauty of the moment with all those around you. And if my capture allowed God, King James, and the nation of England to set that example to the world, then I suppose you can say I'm glad I was caught with those bowels. So well done, England. I am proud to have been born in a country that extends such a welcoming arm to people of all nations. Before I leave you though, one last thing. If a government comes into power that is less welcoming to people of other nations, I hope you will remember what to do about them. Stay grateful, and as they say in my native land of Yorkshire, ta-ra for nara.